Anyways, let's get into the news. Apparently, there's been a primary, and everybody voted to an extent the way Trump told them to vote. So let's start out with the Turkish analysis, and we'll take it from there. Okay.
There is no Easter Bunny. There is no Tooth Fairy. There is no anti-war right. It's 100% true. There's none. It doesn't exist. There's no anti-pedophile right either. Let's be real. As of today, it's official, okay? MAGA is a cult, and they're pro pro Jeffrey Epstein, pro Israel, unconditionally. They are just a cult. Ladies and gentlemen, it's primary day. It's election day in the United States of America. In numerous states, Kentucky, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, to name a few. And we are getting ready to rumble.
Holy Toledo.
Philly, go out and vote. Georgia, go out and vote. Kentucky, go out and vote. Charles Booker, but also maybe Thomas Massey. I don't know. You know, holy Toledo, folks.
Indiana, and both of those situations are unique from mine. Bill Cassidy voted to impeach the president. That's something I've never done and I would never do. And his constituents were mad about that, right?
God, I love Thomas Massey so much. He is such a freak, dude. What a rare bird he is. He's like, I'm so much more MAGA than Bill Cassidy. I would never vote to impeach Donald Trump. It's awesome. He's so awesome. Libertarian final boss? Absolutely. Thomas Maserati, baby.
This is one of the most, if not the most expensive House primaries ever. More than $30 million spent on the race here. And talking to voters, there's a sense of exhaustion as well. But Sarah, this
is now officially the most expensive primary race in the history of the United States of America. Number 2 and number 3 were Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. Now, what's the connective tissue there? Why is the number 1 most expensive primary race in the history of the United States of America and the number 2 most expensive primary race and the number 3 most expensive primary race in the history of American elections? What could it be? What is the thing that connects Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, 2 Democrats, and Thomas Massey? That's right. It's Israel. It's just broad daylight. They are literally subverting the democratic process. A foreign lobby for a foreign state, the number 1 ally of the United States of America. Small nation, tiny nation, size of New Jersey, surrounded by scary Muslims. That's what it is. No politics here. Do not say Israel is buying seats. How dare you? How dare you say Israel buying seats? Haaretz literally confirms that the Kentucky primary is for Israel. The most consequential Republican primary for Israel is happening in Kentucky. At some point, we got to be like, this is a little up, no? What will it take, folks? When will Americans wake the up to what's going on? This is totally ridiculous. It's happening in broad daylight. It's almost as perverse and as ridiculous as Donald Trump taking $1.7 billion of taxpayer revenue from the IRS to spend however he sees fit. It's happening in broad daylight. Is highway robbery, and people are just sleepwalking. Donald Trump doing, 58 trades a day since the beginning of 2026. How did that happen? People who got real mad about Nancy and Paul Pelosi, myself included, I was mad about that too, and you should be mad about that. It's perfectly valid to be upset that congresspersons are trading on non-publicly available information, and yet no such consideration is given to the president when he's doing it in broad daylight. What are we doing? What's going on? Actually, not to get all Tucker Carlson here, but what the is going on? We're not a country. We're not.
What are we doing? What's going on?
If you allow foreign lobbies to buy and sell seats like this without any pushback whatsoever, you can't be a country. You're not. We're not a country. The United States.
My personal hot take is kind of not holding up right now, at least in the primaries, because my pitch was one similar to that of Mr. Tucker Carlson, which is that the treats are too expensive for everyday Americans to still believe a MAGA adjacent reactionary pitch, which is basically looking you in the eyes, completely playing on your emotions, and just fucking lying. Telling you you're going to do one thing and then not doing it, further making all the treats more and more expensive, aka deflating actual life standards for everyday Americans. So the idea is basically you can fully run on owning the libs and, hey, you will be able to say the R word for a very long time. But once the economy becomes so bad, you can no longer do that. You actually have to follow through on some of the policies, give certain reforms to the American people, and so on and so on and so on. Because no, even if they are no longer owning the libs, life is so fucking painful that they will admit to certain caveats. Everything's going to become so expensive that the American right will actually have to deliver on something. Grievance politics, etc., etc. Looks like the United States is not ready for that yet. Either the streets are still accessible enough, or just the power and weight of American exceptionalism, the power and weight of being a contrarian that lives for owning the college-educated libs inside of the reactionary mass of the United States of America is so lobotomized, is so troglodyte, is so respectfully imbecilic that even if they were living in their own shit, infected by the plague, they would rather continue voting for somebody that lies to them in their eyes, in their face, than go for someone that wants to at least give them some pebbles of decency. So yeah, that's the big bet. And here I'm only discussing the two types of right-wing approaches towards the American future. I'm not talking about the left here at all. I'm talking about the right-wing civil war. I'm amazed yet again by the ability for the American reactionary mass, as I said earlier, to shoot itself in the foot and love it. Like the financial cuckoldry present in your country is incredible. Even when there is like an objectively better reactionary option, like one that will still let you own the libs, one that will still let you say the R word, but one that does not want to, for example, directly support Israel, you just don't go with it because daddy said, my options are better. Even though Israel helped drag you in a war that is now making almost everything more expensive for you. It's actually fascinating. American reaction is more fascinating than any reaction in history. Could always be worse, chat. Starmer could be your leader. That's fine.
Is no longer a country. It's just a holdover state for corporate interests. Corporate interests that can come in and buy elections, or in lobbies that can come in and buy elections. Basically now, yeah, an Israeli-owned casino. Shout out Miriam Adelson. It's ridiculous.
She's out here voting because things are really expensive and hard. I passed by a gas station here in Allentown, $4.89 a gallon. Those are
the TLDR about my previous rant. The New American Right basically said, how about we tune down the lobotomy of our people by 10%? That should allow us to probably beat the 100% lobotomy Republicans. Americans go out to vote, and they have a choice between a 90% lobotomy and 100%. And they very, very proudly choose 100% lobotomy. Somehow, even in the competition of reaction, the American chooses one that outreacts the other one. Because reaction, as always, is a fucking cult.
the issues that are really bringing voters.
If Massey loses, do you think it has enough of an impact to disillusion some people? No, it means that people are totally in a drunken stupor. If Thomas Massey wins today, that's a huge blow. That means no amount of moneyed interest, no amount of cultish thinking that is in the core of the Republican Party that's like
guess what happened?
Anchoring the entire base at this point is enough to unseat someone who's actually fought for his own moral convictions and said, I'm not going to compromise on my values. If Israel and Trump in unison wins here, which
that he was about to endorse in Texas, everyone was waiting to see if it would really happen, and then came the Truth Social post.
Yeah, it really happened. It really happened. And I can't think of an endorsement in Republican politics that has ever been as important as Donald John Trump's endorsement. And you see it in Texas. You saw it obviously in Kentucky earlier tonight. You saw it in Louisiana over the weekend. And you see it in the Texas polling as well. Because just take a look here. Impact of Trump's endorsement, Texas Senate, among Republicans. Look at what you see here.
Look at
55% of Republicans.
Look at this. What do you call this? What do you call this?
You would be more likely to vote for the candidate Donald Trump endorses. You see 36% say no impact. Look at this, though. Just 9% say less likely to vote for the candidate that Trump endorses. But overall here, it's just very clear. If you get Trump's endorsement, then all of a sudden what we should expect to see is Republican voters lining up behind Ken Paxton, which, of course, is what we've seen in basically every single other contest, including, obviously, in Kentucky earlier this evening.
But with Lisa Murkowski's comment there, she said, how does it help the president if we ended up losing Texas? It's because there's a real question
I mean, they really hate brown immigrants. But this is my take. This is my hot take. Like, my hot take is that if Trump unironically said, this guy that, like, hates brown immigrants more than me is bad because my level of hating browns is the perfect level of hating browns, they're going to vote for Trump or whoever Trump endorses. This is like you're trying, lesbian hot sauce, you're trying to ascribe rational hatred to these people. You're trying to ascribe rational thinking to a contingent of the American right that is usually older, but is the closest to the most stereotypical, like, depiction of iPad kid that we can imagine, right? They're literally like, Googa Gaga, oh, Googa Gaga, Trump say, oh, Googa Gaga say this space, Googa Gaga, I vote like this. That literally, like toddlers in large bodies with pickup trucks. I am not dehumanizing them. They have dehumanized themselves through the patterns of their behavior. There is a certain point in which people have internalized reactionary mentality so much that it turns into a process of lobotomy, and out of which you cannot pull them out. At that point, that is just a reactionary mass of subhumans that should be treated as such.
About how Ken Paxton would fare against James Tallarico, the Democrat, come November.
Yeah, okay. So I think it's so important to know.
No, I'm very fucking serious. Like, re-education will absolutely have to happen. It will be very, very different than the way it has been done in the past. It will be paid for by the state, universities, no fucking beatings, none of this bullshit, right? No fucking violence. Yes, it will be violent because you will be incarcerated. You will not be able to leave until you prove that you are not a danger to society. The same way people that, like, exhibit irrational, violent behavior, even inside of the confines of neoliberal capitalism, get put into particular institutions designed to hopefully, they're very corrupt and bad, but designed to hopefully help them reintegrate into society because they can't help themselves. Reactionaries will be treated, violent reactionaries that lead these particular movements and that pitch them, will be treated this particular way. The masses will not have to go through these re-education programs because the masses will organically, quote unquote, re-educate themselves by not having been exposed to as much reactionary propaganda as before. Okay, that's the second thing that people get confused when it comes to my, like, re-education. The masses are reactionary because reaction co-opts their particular dislikes of how the world works, okay? By removing reaction which agitates, people will organically set themselves into their normal roles and perspectives and viewpoints. But yeah, on this show, I am not trying to de-radicalize reactionaries. I am talking to hard-coded fucking commies and anarchists, and I think I don't have to pretend to see their humanity. Even though I still see their... I'm not talking about reactionary chuds like fucking everyday Joes. I'm talking about agitators, okay? I am talking about reactionary propaganda. Their humanity, I with all due respect, genuinely do not see. I would love to see it. That this might be like a reactionary aspect of my personality. I would love to be enlightened and see the spark of love in the mind of every man and woman. But when everything you've dedicated yourself to your whole life being being against your fellow human, why the fuck am I supposed to see more humanity in you than in a dog, which has probably done more for fellow humans than you have?